Hello, Stevie. Thank you for coming and talking to me. I know this might be quite difficult, so I appreciate that. Stevie is a parent with a neurodivergent child and also neurodivergent herself. And I've asked Stevie to come in because I want to talk about Christmas, December, the lead up to Christmas, and the struggles that brings upon you as an individual, you as a parent, you as a family, and coming out in January and thinking, oh my God, that was hard. Yeah. And this is going to go out in January. And so there'll be a lot of parents, I think, that will be kicking themselves as to, I hate Christmas. That was a horrible Christmas. I didn't do right for my child or whatever. And having been there and as a parent myself with neurodivergent children, we've only just got to grips with what we needed to change, and we didn't change early enough as to what our children needed. So Christmas was really a traumatic time. How did you find, or how have you found, let's go from the lead up to Christmas and to where we are today, which is not Christmas in terms of Christmas Day, etc. We are halfway through December, but it's a build-up of the anxiety and things along the way. Would you agree?
Agree. From the 30th of October, Halloween done. That's it. It's Christmas everywhere. Christmas in the shops. Christmas is being talked about, and that slowly and subconsciously builds a lot of pressure. I feel as a person and as a parent, and also for my neurodivergent child.
Yeah, and I just have to say, I was driving around during Halloween, and there was houses next door to each other. One house was covered in Halloween stuff. The house directly next door had full of Christmas lights and Christmas tree in the window now. I thought, oh my goodness, that family just couldn't wait for Christmas.
Literally, as soon as Halloween was done, can we have the Christmas tree up now, Mummy? And that excitement's begun. And for a young child with lots of erratic emotions, that is a good focus. It is positive, and so they focus on it and focus on it and focus on it. And for a child and for myself, that's quite a lengthy period. So as much as I'm now feeling the pressures, I'm very well acquainted to know that, mid-January I'm still going to be needing that strength, because we get through Christmas, and I find that all the excitement and the pressure and the need for this fun day and all these toys and excitement, it becomes very overwhelming. And Christmas Day for me has changed massively over the years, where we've learnt to adapt to suit what fits us as a family, rather than the social expectations of we're all going to open presents, sit down and have this lovely calm dinner, and we're going to then sit and watch telly and be calm and play toys, No,
Okay, so if we go back to Halloween and we're building up to Christmas Day after Halloween, and it's now in the child's head that, have you noticed from just before Halloween finished and then being at school to Halloween finishing and it's now Christmas in the head, a change in their behaviours or their expectations at school, and has it deteriorated, has it heightened, or?
It's deteriorated. Ups and downs, but again, the Halloween period's slightly unsettled, new things happening, but Christmas ahead. There's talks of Christmas plays, there's talks of Christmas dinners, Christmas jumper days, there's lots of Christmas fairs, things that are out of the regular schedule, if you like. So for my neurodivergent daughter, myself, and I'm sure quite a lot of others, that's quite unsettling. It's exciting, but it's also very hard to negotiate the changes. And for my child, we've had some big behaviours, and over the last few weeks it's kind of deteriorated, and those behaviours have got bigger. I can be understanding and try and see, this emotional turmoil that's going on in there of excitement and worry and anxiousness. Am I going to get a present? Am I going to have a bingo? Is Santa going to come? Is Santa, this real person? Does that look like Santa? Does that? It's a lot of confusion. Brings me to a thought of a recent Christmas market fair sort of thing we went to. Lots of games, lots of excitement, but then lots of confusion. And was there going to grotto to meet Santa, and Violet's very scared. And it was a case of, it's okay, Mummy's here, extra reassurance, understanding. Said you don't have to go if you don't want to. However, other children are going and they look to be having fun, and why am I not feeling that this is fun too? And it was after that little event that I was talking to my child, and they explained to me, but I was scared. I said, okay, what was you scared of? Do you know? Well, it's a stranger. I don't know who that is behind that costume. And it really opened my eyes, because we go and see Santa in various places and on the telly and all the rest, and that Santa, it looks like Santa with a red hat and a beard and a belly usually. However, that's not really, to a child, there's picking up a lot of other visual cues, and there's uncomforts there because she doesn't know who that is behind the mask.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't encourage our children. We say no strangers and all that, but there we are, kind of. Yeah. So that's very confusing for them.
And we forget to validate and understand that, because it's a matter of, this is a happy time, this is what's supposed to happen, and we're pushing them because we want them to be caught up in the excitement, and we forget the fears and the reasons behind these fears, and just taking a step back. And I think it's just being okay to, it doesn't matter if they don't do it. We want them to be that excited, and we want them to do that, but if they can't or don't want to, that's okay. But we forget that, because we just want them to be happy, and we want them to be doing this.
We're pressured,
and we think they're not doing it, they're going to be unhappy, but they're not really, are they?
No. Well, we, I think, as parents, are pressured and burdened by the social expectations of, we want our children to have this lovely fun time, and we want to have this great family time like everybody else looks to be doing. However, what's fun for your child? Ask your child, ask yourself that,
Yeah.
For me, now and as a child, bright lights, lots of music, crowds, people, that is not fun. The expectations of opening your presents. What looks on my face? Do I look happy? Do I not? It's and for a child, that's overwhelming. I find it overwhelming as an adult still now. And I think we all, again, like you say, we get too caught up in the social conformities and forget the needs of the child and what's important.
So we're talking about the needs of the child and things like that, but there's also the need of the parent, yeah? And if you don't mind me saying, I smiled because I knew where you were coming from and everything else, but you arrived in the office this morning, not expecting to do this talk. I've just grabbed you and sort of said, this would be really good to talk about, because you went, oh. I said, you're all right. Well, I will be in a minute. But, oh my God, if you knew what I was to do, I went, blah, because there's been so much stress and anxiety because of stuff that's gone from you. So are you happy to share, sort of say, the last week in a very whistle-stop blows of how things have happened with you?
Briefly. So, parent under pressure, lots of life things going on. Christmas is always a pressure in itself, whether it be mentally, emotionally, financially, and so, I'm starting to show that I'm under pressure, because last week I had a week of, fun. Yeah. I went and forgot to pick my child up from school. Didn't forget to pick her up, I might add. I had gone to collect her, but not at the right time in the right place. So, that didn't end very well, but I know, they forgave me.
Well, it ended up well because you got her back.
Oh, yes, totally, yes. It was just a mistake, and we learned from him, and funnily enough, that's never going to happen. I've got it firmly fixed now, whether it'll be this, but this, we know where we're doing. Learn. But it didn't end there, because we also had a carol concert after school one night this week, and so, being a good mum, so I thought, get there, drive there, slightly late, nearly, but we dealt with the needs and turned up at the door to realise we was at the wrong church. I was like, oh dear. So quick search to Google, find the next one. Obviously very heightened I was, under pressure, I was tired, extra, needs of a child, extra needs of my own, out of routine and things. So didn't really look, I just Googled the name of the correct church and went and drove to get to the second church to find it was all dark and there was nobody here. So, third time lucky, obviously, having a moment to say, Stevie, you're under pressure, breathe, have a second, Googled, had a little look properly and found the right one. Unfortunately for us, this had taken quite some time, and so the end of the service was now looming. However, we have to laugh about these things. But it is important, I think, to, a lot of the time we hide these little mistakes, big mistakes, whichever you look at it, that we make. And I think, it's what makes us normal. I think people need to know that.
Well, when I was similar things like that in the past and that, I was not calm. I'd be screaming and shouting because I was so stressed, and I'd end up taking it out of the child because why didn't you organise it? It was me, because I just hadn't a clue, and it was me not reading or doing things like that because of all these other things that are going on. But it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult. We went to a seminar, myself and another lady from PACT, over in Leeds, and my sat nav didn't take me to where we were supposed to be going, so I was getting a little bit floundered, but I couldn't get over angry with myself because it's somebody in the car who I thought they've not seen me angry and I can't be angry, but I was getting really frustrated. And so we then yep, that sounds like it. But as you said, into Google, it took me 30 miles away to where we were. Well, maybe not 30, but 15 miles to where we were, to find out, yes, this is the right name, wrong area. So I had to put it back in again third time lucky. We ended up got there. We got there just before it started, but we were still late. We had to cram into a table instead of having the choice and that. And of course, you're just unsettled for the rest of the day, aren't you?
Very much. I think some days, full days, can be very unsettling like that, especially in the lead up to Christmas. We do our best, to keep ourselves on an even par, try and, relax and distress in between those tenser moments. But everywhere you go, there's reminders of Christmas and bright shiny lights, flashing crowds of people, absolute, chaos on the roads. People seem to get this Christmas brain, and it's just very overwhelming. But like you say, when things start to then snowball, that was me flapping, and I'm like, I'm already a little bit flappy about this, and I've already embarrassed myself once this week. I've really got to, and here we are again. So of course we flap more, but I did learn from a very clever lady many years ago, and it's easier said than done, but it's just about taking time, because when we are under that stress and that pressure, our brains aren't thinking straight. It literally minimises the capacity of what we can use to think. So again, it's really hard, but like I say, once our second time, we're still not in the right place. Have a moment to breathe. I needed to reset myself. The problem there was me. I was under pressure and had made a little mistake, but then rather than actually taking the time, a bit like you say, instead of going one side, I find myself the other side of where I'm supposed to be, and that then had a knock-on effect for the rest of the evening, because it affects my daughter.
So does that, from the rest of the evening, goes, and she will not let you forget that, does it go on for days, or was she okay the next morning, or was it a matter of she was really unsettled because she missed out and people are talking about it at school?
The whole period was quite unsettling. It's something she finds difficult with, and she'd really built up the confidence and the courage to go and do this with our support. So she was already very, she'd got herself in the right mindset, and this then threw her off. Yeah. And then obviously going to the second one, realising that we wouldn't then make it. So, but you love me, Mummy? Yes, I do. But you'll try it. And then, yes, I do love you. I am going to try, and we've tried. But then it was tears, then it was upset, and it was a big circle of emotions for her, really. The disappointment of not going, the worry that she was going to be sort of ostracised by her friends for not being there. All these things that we forget about. Again, it's that internal anxiety, and for a young child, we assume they don't have those worries sometimes, I think, and it's big for them. It's very big. So it took some doing over the evening, and the next morning wasn't directed to me that this was what the problem was, but again, we've got these unsettled behaviours that are quite clearly showing there are struggles within. A few days on, I get reminded about it, and then all will be calm again. But it'll come back.
Okay. So here's another potential trigger: Christmas shopping. Do you do Christmas shopping?
Christmas is hard. Shopping's hard. Let's take the Christmas out of it. I don't like shopping, I'll be honest. I don't find that environment for me. Sensory struggles hugely. There's bright lights, it's busy, it's noisy, there's people, and I'm trying to focus on what I want. Even with a list, sometimes that's difficult. So then you add in Christmas, and you've got jingle bells and flashy colourful lights, more so than usual, and the shops then cram everything more in. They're stacked even higher. You can't walk through because they've got little displays in the middle. So yeah, that makes that even worse. Now, having practiced this for years, I've learned that through lots of pressures, not just the pressure of the people and the crowds, there's the financial pressures, there's the anxieties and worries of wanting to please people you're buying gifts for. I try and start early October, if not, a bit earlier than that. Just the little things, because it means I can avoid the crowds. It means I can be there to address my child's needs and family stuff, at a time that suits, rather than the last minute bit. Doesn't always happen though, does it? For whatever reason.
It doesn't. We've, again, over the years, my wife twigged on probably 10 years ago, where it was a matter of, I'm starting my Christmas shopping January. And she'll keep a book, and every time she buys something, we've got a shelf to put things on, and she'll put we had to be, because we're just so dysfunctional. And so we'd have just this massive presents and things like that, and so we've now got a cupboard full of, and we can go into it any time for birthdays, but we've got a book as to who we've got them for. May not end up with that because something else may happen throughout the year, but we used to do it and then forget we'd buy it, and then you talk, oh my god, go out, and then you get 2 or 3 different, oh god. So you have to be organised.
See, from what you just said, that's so many little things come to mind, because I've tried to be, I'm not doing this anymore, this is it, this Christmas, right, January, I'm gonna, for children and for me and for a lot of people, 1 year, lots of changes. I found it hard to kind of predict what might be liked by then, but also, given I know myself well and my needs aren't always straightforward and organised, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Even with that book will get lost. And yeah, so there's been many Christmases where my children, well, I've got 2 and one of them has a birthday mid-year, and so there's been a fair few times that here's a gift for your birthday. It's actually for Christmas, but I put it away, out of sight, out of mind, and forgot. And yeah, it's a case of the pressures, like you say, last minute for parents, when the pressures are heightened for the children as well, which therefore, that's your priority. That's what you've got to.
And particularly for our children, as in the wider neurodivergent thing, I found my children, if I took them to a shop and showed them something they liked, I want it now. No, it's a Christmas gift. No, I want it now, because we've now got them excited about it. The thought of waiting is just alien. They cannot do it. It has to be done. That's quite difficult, isn't it?
Incredibly. Yeah, because it's there and it's exciting and they want it and they don't understand why it's got to, wait. And so, yeah, if there's ever anything that needs to be bought, it needs to be hidden before, because that builds into frustration for my child, especially sometimes if there's been a lengthy period of wait and we finally get it. They've got this internal frustration because they want to enjoy the present that they've been desperately waiting for so long, but they're actually really mad because they've had to wait and it's got so it causes a bit of a spiral.
And I know there'll be parents out there that be singing, just go online and do it, because it's less hassle. Oh God, no, it's not. The amount of stuff I've tried to buy online and I've misunderstood what it's saying and I get the wrong things, or it's not arriving on time, and that presents its own issues along the way as well. And I hate, in fact, I've been banned from online shopping because I always get it wrong. My daughter has stopped me from doing that. But what we did find, and I don't know, I mean, your child's a lot younger now, but for us, and it's taken years to do that, is that my daughter went to Meadowhall about 3 months ago and saw this bottle of perfume she liked and bought it. Then came home, I got my Christmas present for you, Dad. No, you're buying this for me. Oh, okay, how much is that? Oh, it's £120. Okay.
Good job, we sat down there, Gordon.
Okay, good. So that's your Christmas present, yeah. So she was happy, she knew she got it. I said, can you wait that long? Oh yeah, because I know I've got it now. And she knew what she was getting. So the anxiety of what am I getting for Christmas has gone. I know what I'm getting because I want it, and Dad's buying it for me so I can get my money back in my bank. Thank you very much. And so therefore, there's no surprise or whatever. But does that matter? Because she's now so excited that she's got this wonderful thing that she's looking forward to. She's chosen it. She's done everything else. It's taken the pressure off of me. It's taking excitement out, but I haven't got the hassle at Christmas Day. The kickback of
That's the excitement for us as a parent, isn't it? That
Yeah.
we might have a little bit less of that kickback because it's going to come whichever way, and however well I feel I've tried to meet needs, it's going to come because it's an outlay.
Yeah.
I find it for parents and children, the build up of pressure, the presents, the fun, suddenly it's over.
Yeah.
So for your situation, having that understanding and that expectation works for your daughter, so that's, you know, lessened her struggles, and the excitement there for you, I suppose, is like you say, it's one less thing, and knowing that you've done something right that fits your children,
Exactly.
you know, and it fits their needs.
Yeah. And wrapping of presents.
Pressure again. Single-handedly, you know, and trying to do that, we're around a child that doesn't like to sleep very well. It's hard.
Yeah.
And you got to hide it, and it just it's another added pressure really. Because it's not just the wrapping, it's the cleaning up of it all.
Isn't it just? Yeah.
But that and buying them, wrapping them, hiding them, you know, even if they're there, or however it works for each family. I still think, again, it seems another.
For transparency, I don't wrap presents. I don't even buy them. So my wife does it all, much to potentially her annoyance. I don't think she's annoyed because she's got used to it. But I always go, what have you got for Christmas? All right, brilliant, because I can never remember. So it's really good for me to see what I bought my children for Christmas, because I have no idea. So when you say single-handedly, my wife does Christmas single-handedly. I am dreadful at it. But yeah, the thing I dreaded was when they're younger, and you buy something you have to make up, and don't do it. Just don't do it.
If
because
you have
it is
to do it, make it
stressful.
up before Christmas, because the child cannot wait for you to build it.
Yeah, that is stressful. We've had video games, not games, Wii's, Xboxes and that, and you then have to get it set up on the television, and then there's registration and all this, and it's time consuming. And
Even
oh my
down to
God!
Mousetrap, the basic old school board
Yeah.
game. There's the anticipation of having to build that and just want to actually put the ball and let it do the thing.
Yeah,
That's too much, isn't it?
Yeah,
So it works. What works for you, and I think I always say it's creating an environment that you and your child thrive in. You know, and what works for you. It doesn't have to be what everybody else considers as a standard, if you like, Christmas.
So we got through Christmas, and by the way, Christmas dinners. We now have about 3 different dinners. So my son will have a dinner, my daughter will have a dinner, and we'll have a dinner. Christmas turkey, roast, a Sunday roast, perfect. Yeah, it's not out of the. They just get what they like. What do you want to eat today? Do you want to sit at the table or not sit at the table? We'd love you to sit at the table, but if you can't, don't worry. Take the pressure away. Don't do what we think we have to do. Would you agree with that?
Totally.
Yeah.
Learning the hard way. I've worn Christmas dinners. I've cleaned them off the walls, you know, and it's because I was trying to force that traditional, you know, and it didn't work for anybody.
No.
So it's about finding what works for you. And there's been years I haven't even done Christmas dinner because, well, it's me. And the kids are looking at me like, oh, we don't want this. Why are you putting us under the pressure of this? And this is meant to be a fun day and you're ruining it, it's, you know. So what works.
Yeah.
You know. I still enjoy my Christmas dinner, and we have worked our ways around it over the years, but there's been times, you know, the child sat under the table in the room not joining us. It's about what works for you, and if I get to eat my veggies, then I'm happy.
Brilliant. So we've navigated Christmas to a degree. Boxing Day's out the way, although I do like you said, because Christmas is one day and it's out, you actually hold a couple of presents, or at least one, back for Boxing Day, so when they get up, it's not a complete dump, all gone, nothing.
As you say, they build for so long from that sort of Halloween period up, and 24 hours, it's gone. And you don't even experience it for 24 hours, do you, as a child? Even if you're up at the crack of dawn and you don't want to go to bed, there's still, you've got that sort of period. And when you're having fun, it goes fast.
Yeah.
So Boxing Day and even Christmas evening sometimes have been horrendous. It's all over, it's ruined, it's here, oh dear. However, we've worked around that, you know. Just it's minimal really, just a board game or something that we can, a craft project or something that we can do. So when I get that, morning disappointment. I'm very sorry. Well, actually, no, I saved you this. And so, Christmas, and we still have those downs. I won't, butter over the fact that, I wanted it all again, but it's the fact that you kind of do what works. And it's easier for us to extend it, even from Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and a little bit further sometimes, because there've been mornings, especially when they was younger, it was too much, too overwhelming, and you're trying to push, let's have fun, no, push. And you don't get time to play with it, so take it as you need it. Take it as the children need it. But it can be overwhelming, or she might want to dive into everything. It's you kind of work with them. But I've learned to create and present an environment for her that I feel in my learning isn't as overstimulating as a regular Christmas, and try and pace ourselves.
Yeah, good. So Christmas is over, we've got it's New Year. Do you then just go, or is it you're still way up here?
I think there is a sigh of relief internally of that's one thing down, but it's far from over. That's when I think the real parenting steps in. We are out of school because it's, holiday period, so routines have changed. We've had a lot of overwhelming overstimulation. We've also got lots of toys that we want to play with, so it comes up and down, and it gets positives and negatives, if you like, but ultimately then we start back at school, don't we, at the beginning of January, and after the turmoil and the festivities, it takes a little bit of doing, getting into routine, and for me, as mentioned, my New Year probably is around the beginning of March, mid-February, March even, because it gives us time to then get back into the routine, not forget about Christmas as such, but it's calm slightly, and we've got, focuses in the new year, what's coming. But again, New Year, people make these, New Year, new start, it's going to be great. You've got to be realistic. You do want to be, hopeful, and it is going to be great for many reasons, but when we say that, we've got to subconsciously also tell ourselves that it's going to have some ups and downs. A bit like the Christmas, it's approaching that as a parent. I think it's important to mentally know that we are going to have some kind of a great time, but realistically in that great time I'm also including several meltdowns and a few other things along the way.
Which is brilliant. Thank you for sharing. I know it's been difficult, but I just feel that we as parents need to know that don't kick yourselves. We've got through that, and whatever, it may not have been a perfect Christmas. Take time when you can to just go back and say, what were the triggers there? Can we change something? Have we got to be traditional? And can we do Christmas in our own way? Once I established that, Christmas became better, because we weren't trying to be Christmas. We were trying to be a family in a holiday period. What will work for you? And that's going to be different. And again, like everything else we do, we could get criticism, but who cares? We're having a good time. Rather than, hey, I'm not getting criticism, but blooming heck, Christmas is a nightmare, because we want to make sure everybody else knows we're doing Christmas. Do it your way. I think that's the best thing I could say.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think a lot of people forget, the internet's got all these pictures of these happy, perfectish moments. Well, that's a picture.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things that go on behind that. And be grateful for those moments, because if we get just one of those little happy, little lovey-feely moments at Christmas, then I'm satisfied, because that's, it's positive.
You've probably in the same place as me, and probably a lot of your parents out there. There's a lot of Christmases we've had where we've had more tears than laughter, because it's just not gone the way we were wanting it, because we were trying to do it the way everybody wants to do Christmas. And it's just not worth it. What is worth it is the good feel factor of our children, and however that presents itself is the right way to do that thing. And knowing that when you come to the new year, that was good. We did it our way, as Frank Sinatra said.
No, definitely. And it's just every year's a learning curve. I think we as parents beat ourselves up quite harshly sometimes, and it is about being kind to yourself as well. We learn from making mistakes. I didn't know to just do this for my child. It's taken me years to sort of work my way through this murky water, if you like, to find out what fits. So just be easy on yourself, be kind.
Yeah.
A lot of people have lots of adult struggles as well, family members and such like, that we kind of put to bed because we're concentrating on the children, but you're human too.
Yeah.
And if you don't take those times and moments to rest effectively, like we've mentioned, it can come out as pressure and anger built up at the children, and that's obviously ultimately not what anyone wants.
Indeed. So thank you, and Happy New Year to everybody. Hope it goes well. Bye bye.